Imagine being born into one of the most powerful royal families in Asia. Imagine becoming a king at just 5 years old. And then imagine losing your kingdom, your family, your culture, and even your identity before you were old enough to understand what any of it meant. This was the life of Maharaja Duleep Singh. Today, many people know him as the last Maharaja of the Sikh Empire. Some remember him as the young prince connected to the famous Koh-i-Noor diamond, but few know the full story of the boy who lost everything and spent the rest of his life trying to find his way home. His story is one of power, betrayal, exile, heartbreak, and a struggle for identity that lasted until his final breath. Duleep Singh was born in Lahore in 1838. His father was Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the legendary Lion of Punjab and founder of the Sikh Empire. Under Ranjit Singh's rule, the Sikh Empire had become one of the most powerful states in Asia. It was wealthy, respected, and feared by its enemies. For most children, being born into such a family would seem like a blessing. For Duleep Singh, it became a curse. Before he could even celebrate his first birthday, his father died. The mighty empire that Ranjit Singh had built suddenly lost its strongest leader, and almost immediately, chaos began to spread through the royal court. Power struggles erupted. Rival factions fought for influence. Assassinations became common. Members of the royal family were murdered as different groups competed for control of the empire. Then, when Duleep was only 5 years old, his half-brother Maharaja Sher Singh was assassinated. Suddenly, the small child found himself sitting on the throne of one of the largest kingdoms in Asia. Of course, a 5-year-old could not truly rule an empire. The real power rested with his mother, Maharani Jind Kaur. She was intelligent, fearless, and fiercely protective of her son. She knew that enemies surrounded them, and that the greatest threat came from a rapidly expanding power to the south, the British East India Company. At that time, the British were steadily taking control of India. One kingdom after another had fallen under their influence. Punjab remained one of the few major regions that still stood independent. The British saw the instability inside the Sikh Empire and recognized an opportunity. In 1845, war broke out between the British and the Sikhs. The fighting was intense, but the Sikh Empire was weakened by internal divisions and betrayals. Eventually, the British emerged victorious. Although Duleep remained king in name, much of the empire's power was stripped away. Maharani Jind Kaur refused to accept this situation. She continued resisting British interference and fought to protect her son's rights. The British quickly realized that she was a problem, a very dangerous problem, so they decided to remove her. She was arrested, separated from her son, stripped of her influence, and eventually exiled from Punjab. For Duleep, the loss was devastating. He had already lost his father. Now, his mother had been taken away as well. What made the situation even more cruel was that the British made sure the two could not communicate freely. Letters were intercepted, messages were blocked, mother and son were forced apart for years. Meanwhile, the British tightened their grip on Punjab. In 1849, after the Second Anglo-Sikh War, the Sikh Empire officially ceased to exist. Duleep Singh was only 10 years old. His kingdom was gone. His throne was gone. Everything his father had built had become part of the British Empire. And then came one of the most symbolic moments in colonial history, the Koh-i-Noor diamond. For generations, the famous jewel had represented power and royalty. As part of the annexation of Punjab, it was taken from the young Maharaja and sent to Britain. Eventually, it became part of the British crown jewels. The child who once possessed one of the world's most famous diamonds now possessed nothing. With Punjab under British control, Duleep's future was placed in the hands of British officials. He was sent to live under the supervision of Dr. John Logan, a Scottish surgeon trusted by the British government. Officially, the arrangement was for his education and well-being. In reality, something much larger was happening. The British were attempting to reshape him completely. His contact with Indian culture was limited. His interactions with fellow Indians were carefully controlled. British customs, British values, and British beliefs surrounded him every day. Slowly, the boy who had once been Maharaja of Punjab was transformed into something else. Then, at just 14 years old, Duleep Singh converted to Christianity. British officials celebrated the event. For them, it was proof that their efforts had succeeded. But while they celebrated, something inside Duleep was becoming increasingly complicated. Who was he now? A Sikh prince? A British gentleman? Or someone who belonged nowhere at all? In 1854, the British sent him to England. There, he became an instant sensation. Young, wealthy, handsome, and royal, Duleep fascinated Victorian society. Newspapers wrote about him. Aristocrats wanted to meet him. He quickly became one of the most talked about figures in Britain. Most importantly, he attracted the attention of Queen Victoria herself. The Queen took a special interest in the young prince. She invited him to royal gatherings, welcomed him into her inner circle, and often spoke warmly of him. To outsiders, it looked like a fairy tale. The lost prince had found a new family among British royalty, but appearances can be deceiving. Behind the smiles, portraits, and lavish dinners, Duleep never stopped thinking about Punjab. He repeatedly asked permission to return home. Each time, the answer was the same: no. The British feared that if he returned, he could become a rallying symbol for resistance. So he remained in England. A king without a kingdom, a prince without a homeland. Years passed, but Duleep never forgot his mother. After countless failed attempts to contact her, he finally succeeded in arranging a reunion. In 1861, after 13 long years apart, mother and son met again. The reunion was emotional and heartbreaking. The powerful queen he remembered was gone. Years of imprisonment, exile, and hardship had left Maharani Jind Kaur blind and physically weakened. Maharani Jind Kaur helped Duleep Singh rediscover his Punjabi identity before her death. Though he later married and raised a family, he never forgot Punjab. In 1886, he tried to return to India, but was stopped by the British. He returned to Sikhism and spent his remaining years trying unsuccessfully to reclaim his lost kingdom. Duleep Singh died in Paris in 1893. His wish to be buried in India was denied, and he was buried in England. Today, he is remembered as the lost king of Punjab, a king without a kingdom and a prince without a homeland.